Howdy folks, welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. It's time for another epic win video, not because I really wanted to do another epic win video, but because these are quite short and I've got one hell of a busy weekend ahead of me. Hopefully, however, you'll appreciate the quality, if not the quantity. In the previous two epic win videos, you've seen players who either weren't particularly good but just had an amazingly lucky game, or were above average and, had to work hard for the result. This video stars a player who statistically is the best player in the match with his 59% win rating and his 1600 WN8 rating. It's Taika Apina, and I believe he's from Finland, and I have shown some of his replays on this channel before. He's in, well, it's a very, very rare Russian tier 10 tank destroyer. Not rare as in hardly anybody can get it, but rare as in hardly anybody has got it. It's the Object 263. You almost never see this thing in World of Tanks, and it's a good machine. The problem with the Object 263 isn't the Object 263, it's all of the other Russian tank destroyers that you have to grind through in order to get it, with the exception of the Su-12-254 at tier 9. They're all deeply mediocre. Most people, they go down the ISU-152 line, for good reason. The ISU-152 is fantastic, the Object 704 is fantastic, and the Object 268 is pretty good as well. Normally, at this point in the video, I'll be talking about the machine that he's driving, but aside from the fact that this is a tank destroyer version of the Object 261 artillery, and the gun is very similar to the gun on the Jagdtiger, other than that, I don't really know an awful lot about this machine. I have real problems when I'm facing Object 263s because it just doesn't happen often enough for me to know how to deal with them. I know that the sides are made out of paper, ammo racks and fuel tanks, but from the front, on the rare occasions when I see this machine, pretty much as the enemy team are finding out here, this thing is incredibly hard to handle. And I actually had to go and look the thing up on Tank Inspector, and it turns out that the frontal armour of this thing is 250mm thick all over, except for the lower glacis, which is small, and is 150mm thick. But the sloping on the armour means that effectively, from the front, you're having to get through 300mm of armour everywhere on the front of this machine. And there are no weak spots. Which explains why I have so many problems dealing with the Object 263. If it can keep its enemies in front of it in the same way he has. And look at that shot. There. Bang. Straight into the turret top of the Centurion. That Centurion just had no idea how to handle this guy. And to be fair, in that situation, if I'd been driving that Centurion, I wouldn't have had a clue how to deal with this guy either. Your best bet is actually, it seems, to aim for the gun mantlet, because while the gun mantlet is 250mm thick, it's not sloped as much as the rest of the front of the armour on this tank, and there is no armour behind it, so completely counterintuitive. Look at that gun. They're being capped now, by the way, and they're losing pretty heavily, 3-7. He's done a substantial amount of damage already, driving this thing very, very aggressively, right at the front of his team. Playing this thing like a heavy tank. Oh, what a shot. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, just the perfect amount of lead. Yeah, they're pulling the scores back, but they've still lost twice as many tanks as the enemy team. Yeah, they're bringing it back again. And this thing's quick as well. It really does remind me of a very fast, very low profile, very hard to kill Jagdtiger that actually has great frontal armour, with no weak spots, unlike the Jagdtiger. And I'm really surprised I don't see more people driving these things. Get a load of this. IS-3. Oh, it's only tier 8, but just boom. You'll notice he doesn't have any premium ammo on this thing. Doesn't need it. Hello, Mr. 110. Are you going to show me your lower glacis? I think you are. And he's just bouncing shot after shot after shot here. From this position, these guys all pretty much... He's killed another one. These guys all pretty much have to deal with 300mm of effective armour. None of them are going for the gun mantlet, because you don't shoot a tank in the gun mantlet. He's killed another one. That's where the strongest armour is. Not on this thing. It's as thick as everywhere else at the front of the machine, but it's not sloped as much. It's taken a hit from the side there. It's the first actual damage he's taken this entire game. Look at this carnage. And now, Tiger 2. He aims for the lower glacis and it actually misses or bounces completely. T49 comes up behind him. You're going to shoot him? You're going to shoot him? You're not going to shoot him. He's going to shoot me. Alright, fine, I'll kill him. T49 obviously reloading. And now, the 3 tanks remaining on his team are all top tier. Technically, you know, the T49 is a top tier light tank. You don't get higher than a tier 8 light tank. And they're 3 of the 4 best players on his team. The 4 tanks remaining on the enemy team are a bunch of tier 9s and 8s, and they're driven by players who are statistically not that good. So they've got this in the bag, haven't they? Yeah, well, this wouldn't be an epic win video if that was the case. Never discount the tomato factor. So the Waffenträger 4, there he is. Oh, he's taken a hit from the T30, repairs the tracks, doesn't want to get hit again, needs to finish off this guy. Well, he ain't going to finish him. Oh, and he takes a hit. Great shot from the Waffenträger. He managed to actually pin him right in that gap between the gun mantlet and the frontal hull upper glacis armour, where there is no armour whatsoever, so full damaging shot. Great stuff. Misses the T30, didn't wait for it to fully aim, but the T30 bounced, and he is definitely going to reload before the T30 does, and the T30 has no concealment here. And he looks, oh, yeah, it looks like the T49 hit him as well. He took a lot of damage in that shot. And now the Batchat's unloading on him. Well, the T30 managed to kill the Batchat. But Taika killed the T30, so it's still 2 on 2. And it's still 2 very good players in 2 very good machines against 2 not very good players in not as good machine. But once again, never discount the tomato factor. Oh, he spotted the T28 prototype. And no sign of the Waffenträger 4, however. And he hasn't been seen the entire game. He could literally be anywhere. Lovely, juicy side shot at the T28 prototype, but he was aiming at and has killed the T49. Now this is dangerous because he does not know where the Waffenträger 4 is. And the sides of this tank are 80mm of armour, and you can see that they're lined with ammunition. Comes around the corner, full speed, plants one into the T28 prototype, and bang, takes a shot. Now, there's the Waffenträger 4, he's on the other side of the lake. He bounced a shot from the T28 prototype, that one went in, and he's going to use this guy as cover, because that Waffenträger 4 is now on such low health. And the guy is at the extreme limit of his view range. He can only see him when he opens fire. He's reloading. He re-stealths, he takes the shot anyway. Doesn't appear to have gone in, and now he's... Just because he can't see the Waffenträger doesn't mean the Waffenträger can't see him. Interestingly, if you have a look at the top armour, just next to the gun there, you can see a penetration hole, and that looks like that's where the T28 hit him. At that close range, he managed to have enough of a down angle to be able to penetrate the top of the engine deck. The engine of this thing, obviously, at the front. So, he's got to find that Waffenträger. Time to go for a nice drive in the country. We need some music for this. Now, he's got the speed in this thing to catch that guy. This thing will do 50 kilometers per hour. Not a problem. It really is an incredibly good machine. And I'm amazed I don't see more of them. It's very, very stealthy and low profile. It's got a fantastic gun. Even if it doesn't have the big derp alpha damage of the other tier 10 tank destroyers, or even some of the tier 9 tank destroyers. But it's got the accuracy, it's got the rate of fire, it's got phenomenally good damage per minute. The frontal armour is incredible. You just don't see many of these things in World of Tanks. It's that SU-100M1 and the SU-101 that you have to go through in order to get here that seems to put people off. And I'm sure those machines have got their fans, but I'm not one of them. I seem to be in the majority. But where did that Waffenträger go? I mean, he obviously hasn't come this way, or he'd be dead by now. So, well, Taika's got a couple of options now. He can go and sit in the cap and force the guy to come to him, but that's risky. This thing's only safe as long as you can point the front towards the enemy, and if you're sitting in the cap, you don't know from which direction the opponent is going to be approaching, and oh, well, okay. That couldn't really be much worse. The Waffenträger is capping, and Taika couldn't be any further... Hang on, now he's not capping. Okay. Well, Taika could now start capping himself. No, wait, now he's capping after all. He just can't make his mind up. Well, Taika now has no option but to go back and reset the cap. And the Waffenträger's indecision. He entered the cap circle, he accumulated some capture points, and then he threw those capture points away by moving out of the cap circle and then moving back in. Is that going to cost this guy the game? Because the Object 263 is, as you can see here, easily fast enough of crossing the entire map in the 1.5 minutes it takes you to fully cap. So let's have a little bit of a mental exercise here. The Waffenträger had accumulated 13 cap points when he changed his mind and moved out of the cap circle, and then the time it took him to change his mind and move back in, he could have accumulated probably around about 20 cap points. So if that cap counter reaches 80 before Taika gets back and punches his ticket, then he just threw this game away. So let's have a look. Nah, it's not even going to be close, is it? Not when there's an Object 263 chasing you down. And the positioning could not be better. Look at this. Look at this. He's got the Hulk of the Bat Chat to protect him. He's got the unarmoured gun shield off the Waffenträger to shoot at. And the Waffenträger only has 300mm of effective frontal armour on Taika's Object 263 to shoot at. There was never really any doubt how that one was going to end, was there? Look at that. 10 kills, Pools medal, 9,000 damage done. Look at that. Ace Tanker, chest full of medals, 151,000 credits earned. 9,500 damage done. And just look at how comprehensively this thing destroyed that Centurion. Have a look down at the bottom of the team list on the enemy team. I have nothing but sympathy for that Centurion driver. I would have probably suffered exactly the same fate if I was in his position. I have no idea how to take down an Object 263 from the front. I think the best plan is to just go somewhere else. I bet the Centurion is wishing he had gone somewhere else. But anyway, there you go. Taika Apina from Finland, I believe. I'm in serious trouble if he isn't. Having a monster game in the very rare Object 263. I hope you were entertained by the replay. And as always, take care, and I'll catch you next time.